So, obviously 3 years in a row to win the GCC. That's your first goal each year, right?
Yep.
So when you accomplish goal number one, what do you do with goal number two? Like, has it already been a goal and now it kind of comes to the forefront?
In terms of just the conference championship each year, winning that?
When your year starts, your first goal is to win conference, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, so first goal is to win conference every year just because, uh, you know, even though we had a great conference regular season, we won the regular season, it doesn't qualify us, it doesn't give us the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. And so we did what we needed to do in regular season conference play in order to earn the number one seed. And that obviously helps us competitively in the tournament, gives us, a different road, a more manageable road in the tournament. But ultimately, you got to win the final. You have to get in there. You have to make it to the final and win the final in order to get the AQ for the NCAA tournament.
Does it make it easier knowing that you've beaten all the teams that you're going to face during the course of the season?
Well, I suppose a little bit, but we have to, like right now, my staff and I are working on just game planning for 5 teams. We don't know we obviously know who we're going to play in the first match, but we have to get ready for the semi. We got to get ready for the final, and so we're trying to do our due diligence in making sure that we have information from their more recent games. I think UOP had a player out who was ill for a little bit, who's back in now. We need to make sure that we're ready for her. People are going to run different things. They try to throw something at you the first game, and then maybe see how you make adjustments. You've got some clever people out there who are going to try to throw some different things our way. So we can't expect it to be the same as it was in the first match we played.
It's probably not fair, but I'm going to do it anyway to ask you to compare this team to last year's team. But going into the conference tournament this year, how do you feel this year versus at this time last year, or the year before?
Yeah, I think it's funny because when you look at our roster on paper, if you see what we lost last year, we lost 6 seniors who contributed heavy minutes. A lot were starters. And very many came in off the bench and contributed a lot of time. And then our leading scorer from last season, the freshman the newcomer of the year last year, ended up going to the transfer portal and moving on. And so, realistically, one wouldn't really necessarily expect us to have the season we've had, but I try to be really honest with the girls when we showed up in the fall. Hey, I think we can win. We can do this. But freshmen, you guys need to be sophomores by the time you get back in January, and seniors and juniors, I need you guys to lead. And I think they've done an exceptional job of doing that. And I think this group has a little bit more fun. They're not as tight. They're not as rigid. They're not as kind of into what they're doing. You hear about Brooke, and they don't really care about the stats. They don't care about all that stuff, because I think they realize that together we can do a lot more than we can individually. And there's a lot of great teams with great players out there, but those great players have big egos, and we have too many cooks in the kitchen. We got overseasoned food. So I think these guys understand that, and they're just enjoying playing together. And I think they have this infectious, fun attitude that I think they know that they can fall back on. And when we play loose, we play well. And so I think they really embrace that. And it's not up to one person to do everything. It's spread it out, spread the love, and just have a good time doing it.
They may not care about the stats, but you probably do, right? To see them get recognized for what they've done?
Yes, and I think I struggle with that sometimes because I know, there's some teams out there that have played 30 games and we've only played, 22. And so when you look at numbers, obviously certain kids are going to have more goals or more assists or more steals. We play a much different preseason slate than a lot of our in-conference competitors, where we don't usually play a lot of teams that are ranked lower than we are. And so that definitely affects their numbers. That definitely affects their stats. And so I'm, obviously as their coach, and I want them to be recognized for the things they do well, but I also want to prepare them as a group for the things that are important, like winning the conference championship, going on to the NCAAs, and also not just making it to the quarterfinal, but actually competing in the quarterfinal and potentially winning the quarterfinal. And I know that it's going to take more than just one person being great. It's going to take the whole group. So obviously I'm concerned about that sometimes, but I've never gotten any pushback from them. I need more minutes because I need to pad the stats. I've never had anybody step in and say that. But it is really nice to have both of these young ladies be recognized for their efforts. And, Brooke was nominated because I can't take the kid out of a game. I think she contributes a lot of things that don't really show up on a stat sheet, and she's still one of our statistical leaders in many categories. So that's always pretty fun when other people recognize their talent.
You mentioned being concerned, but slightly concerned about getting to the next level. Any concern with you about, obviously the NCAAs, are the goal, but like you said, Coach, you got to win conference tournament to get to the NCAAs. Any concern at all that these players are overlooking the conference tournament, knowing that last year and obviously the year before NCAAs was?
No, again, I think you asked earlier difference between last year's team and this year's team. I think last year's team was all about the final, and that's that's not a criticism or anything bad. It's just a very normal human nature reaction to the situation. That's why they're here, is to play in that championship game and win. And sometimes the first two games can be overlooked, but this group has done a really great job. I think from our third conference match, I got on them pretty good about taking everybody seriously and making sure we're professional, and they've done that since then, and they've been really consistent in that. They've been training really, really well, and we've gotten deeper, we've gotten better in that time period, and so I know that they hear what I'm saying because they're doing it actively every day. I think this is the best group that I've worked with in terms of their day-to-day approach to practice, and it shows in how they're playing.
Are you able to enjoy it, Coach, or is it more of a relief at times?
Honestly, I've been doing a good. I think just like with the athletes, it's not like there's this arrival fallacy of you get someplace and you just know how to handle it, you know how to manage it, you don't feel any nerves, and I think it's good for me to tell the girls, like, hey, I get nervous too, and that just means we care, and that's okay. It's just what we do with those nerves. It's the choice we make, and how we choose to feed those nerves. Are we going to embrace the fact that I'm nervous and take it as some sort of omen that something bad is going to happen, or is it just like, I care about this and I want to be successful, but I'm going to channel this into a different kind of more productive energy. And so obviously, like, I want them to be successful, and the pressure that I feel is just pressure that's self-imposed, and just making sure I've done my due diligence to make sure that they have what they need in order to be successful. But I have no doubt that these gals are going to show up ready to compete, ready to win, and ready to play well with each other.
You guys are performing probably, if not better than anyone else on the entire campus. Is that something you or them are aware of?
I'm sure we're aware of it just because we follow our fellow student athletes, but I don't think it's something that we're obviously we want everybody on campus to be successful, and so it's not something that we're like, hey, we're doing really well, so everybody else stinks. That's not the attitude at all. It's more just, hey, we're doing well, let's keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully that attitude can be contagious throughout everybody, and it's always nice to feel like you're contributing to something bigger than yourself. And so for us, it's our team, but it's also Fresno and Fresno State that we get to represent our community and our school well. So that's why we're excited about it.
Do you feel that that pressure is increased because you guys did come off of 2 prior wins already? People hold you guys to a higher standard?
I don't. Pressure is a privilege. You earn the right to feel pressure, and I think that I don't really feel pressure to win. I'm sure the girls feel a little bit of pressure just because they want to win. But I think we've done a good job of kind of insulating ourselves from what other people think, because what other people think doesn't matter. We have to just go out and play the game, and if we worry about things that are completely out of our control, then now we're not focused on what we need to do. So just worry about the things you need to worry about, which is your sleep, your hydration, your preparation, your studying, your film, how you train, how you warm up, all that stuff. But yeah, we're not worried about what other people think. Ultimately, I think we're just in the hurry up and wait phase right now, where we're just excited to get there and start playing.